What if the very thing you're most afraid to feel is the one thing that could set you free? Hello, Danusia here, and welcome to Parents Who Think. In today's conversation, I'm joined by Suzy Walker, journalist, editor, and self-development devotee, who found herself undone not by crisis, but by stillness. What began as a mindfulness course became a reckoning with grief, with busyness as a coping mechanism, and with the deeper truths we dodge by staying in motion. Together we talk about what it means to stop running, how presence is more terrifying than achievement, and why women in particular struggle to sit still without guilt. This episode goes deep. Let's join Suzy when she describes how she tried to climb out of grief.
So I lost my parents when I was a teenager to cancer. Mm-hmm. And I used self-development when I was in my early 20s to sort of climb out of this kind of pit of grief and despair and, oh my God, everything goes away. And I think this journey has showed to me, I think I've been running away from those feelings for a long time. I mean, I've had therapy in the past and, I've had lots of support, but there's a piece about slowing down to the point of being present that I was still rejecting. And to me, so I said, right, I'm going to sign up to a mindfulness course. So I started doing the mindfulness course, and there's the usual scrolling things of lists to do, anxiety that I'm very used to when I meditate. But I started to go deeper and deeper and deeper of this. Oh my God, what if all the people that I love die? So I was running away from this kind of really quite huge thing. And what is for someone, so it just shows you, for someone who's so into self-development, who loves my therapy, who loves this kind of support, that I've been on all of this journey for so long and still was running away from these deep, dark feelings. I just thought, my God, it's still there, that you need to sort of deal with all of these things. And so I have been gently looking under those stones again, and all of a sudden realizing that if I stop running, what does it feel like? I can't stop, because if I do stop, then I'll have to deal with my grief and anguish and all of those things.
Yeah, the multiple layers of activity masking that deep grief.
I think what I've used is busyness. That has been my go-to drug of, I'm going to, do that. So I missed my plane because I was going on a flight to Greece for a retreat on my own. Mm-hmm. And that was because my son was flying off to see his father get remarried. And my story to myself and to everybody else was, I'm fine about this. I divorced years ago. It was fine. However, underneath, somewhere deep in there was something.
There's a response
that I wasn't dealing with. Yeah, there was a response, which meant I was so busy before I went away that I missed my flight. Everything is there to be looked at. And if there's a lot, for me, it's like if there are extreme things happening in your life, there's usually, I'm not saying for everyone, but it may be, if you play detective on your own life, you may start noticing that there is something that you can have a kind of route around that, some sort of therapeutic detective, that there may be an emotion that you're afraid to feel.
Yes.
And the more we run away from those, especially those bigger emotions, they don't want to be bigger, but it can be small. But, the more that you can acknowledge it and feel it, then you no longer have to run, and then you can slow down. But if you tell people that, no one wants to slow down, because who wants to feel all those horrible emotions?
One of the fundamental questions that comes up for me around slowing down is, who am I if I'm not doing? Who am I if I'm not kind of achieving or succeeding? And so a few years ago, I said that I would move to the sea and semi-retire, much to the, consternation of everybody. Like, what? What are you doing, Danusia? That's ludicrous.
Yeah.
But what I did was, I had a team of associates, and I, doing lots of leadership development, and I actually streamlined everything. And I basically said, I love you all dearly and thank you, and I'm not going to do any more. I'm just going to pare it back to just me, simplify my life. I'm going to live in a little rented cottage. It was tiny, on the beach. And I'm going to eat fish and chips. And I'm going to sit on the beach and watch the sea moving in and out. And I'm going to see who I dare to be when I'm a nobody. And because I'd lived a life kind of proving that I was somebody. I was adopted. And so the scariest thing for me was actually to be a nobody and to be not a mover and a shaker, not a change maker. Nobody. A little woman living on a simple beach, simple life, doing nothing too much, not too big impact, slowing right down, doing, literally. And I was really proud that I did that for at least a year and really found who I was by experimenting with, really quite fundamentally experimenting with who I was by turning things upside down.
So what was your journey when you started going within? So when you sat on that beach, I mean, for me, when I started slowing down, I was like, okay, I'm slowed down now, right?
I mean, the end result was that I learned that I'm absolutely extraordinary by being a nobody. I learned that in order to be extraordinary, I don't need to do a thing. Not a thing. I just need to get up and breathe. And that's a really funny statement because I think a lot of people, or particularly women, we're not taught to brag or stand in our power or own who we are because we're so serving others. I still had children, but I broke it down into simple, like, what do I expect of myself? I expect to get up. It's a privilege. It's a sheer joy to be able to open my eyes and to be awake. Some people don't get that privilege. I really, really looked at it from a very spiritual perspective of just sitting on the beach. Watch that sea. It's going to come in and it's going to go out. It's going to go out. And it will keep coming in when you're dead. It will keep doing that. And that was the most anchoring, transformational time in the sense of, I don't have to do anything. I'm enough, right as I am. And that was wonderful.
I wish I was braver. When you tell that story about going to the sea and semi-retiring, there's a great courage to that. And, but baby steps, but it's that kind of feel of, when I get really stressed, I go on to Rightmove. I come from Northumberland originally, and things are a lot cheaper up there to buy. So I thought I could sell my house. I could be, mortgage free. I could have a lovely little job working in a cafe, or, and not, as you say, not have all of these things that I'm doing and spinning and creating and doing all of those things, and just to see what that is like. But then it's this thing, where I hear so much is, but it's about service,
Yes.
How can we serve the universe? How can we serve the world best? And for me, what I'm learning is the more creative I am, and my job is very creative. And if I allow myself to be more creative, then I'm really happy. And I do it without stress. I just come up with ideas very easily. So it's just about doing more of what you do with ease. I'm seduced by this idea that it's all got to be easy and soft and lovely, when sometimes just every time I grow or learn something, often it's through the most painful ways. But normally that's because I haven't listened to all the nudges and the little things that are telling me, you're going in the wrong direction.
Yes.
And again, it goes back to that blind spot. And that's why I'm such a big fan of therapy and coaching. It's just being able to, sometimes you can't see it, that you're going in the wrong direction.
So what I learned was that I could still be the doer, and I could still have huge visions. I've actually changed courage recently to brazen, by the way. So I could be brazen in my desires for the world and women and myself. And I'm not talking materially, by the way, but at a very spiritual level.
Yeah.
But I can be in a busy life, but it has to be living in me. And if I lose it within myself, then I'll just get swept up again.
You're absolutely right. What I've learned about being in this slow journey is that by being on the treadmill, I disconnect. I disconnect from whatever you want to call it, the force, the universe.
And the power of you.
Yeah, and just the power, you know what I mean? The ultimate power of the universe. And when you do that, so you can get some hits of chemicals. You kind of feel good. But as soon as you stop having that. It's like when you're connected to the universe, when you're synchronicity and you're feeling and you're observing and you're living in a different way, then it's not exhausting at all, ever. It's just, like I used to get to the end of the day, or I was, especially last October, getting to an end of day just so exhausted. I couldn't re-energize myself. If that makes sense. I couldn't, no matter how much sleep I had or what I ate or what I drank or whatever, nothing would work. And then now I've got all my energy back. I've had a couple of big projects come in and I thought, yeah, I can do that without thinking. And I've done them and I'm like, oh my God, I'm doing that thing again. Habitually, you start doing something and it's like, I haven't got enough self-awareness yet to sort of go, oh, hang on, you did that thing again. And normally I'm seduced by, usually it's because of the idea interests me a lot. And I think, oh yeah, that sounds really good. That sounds really great. Just like, the dating project, that sounds really interesting. I'm like, yeah, great. I want to hear all about that. And I bet if you wrote it, it would be an interesting process. You would learn lots, but why not do it just for the sake of it? Well, yeah, I get it. I totally understand.
It's this perpetual way of turning life into a project as if you're not in the middle of it. You're not living it because you can't live it while you're witnessing it. You can't live life fully if you're witnessing it. So while you're always standing outside as some kind of observer of something, in order to create it into a productive project or something to sell or something to pitch or something to, if you're not in it fully. It's a little like social media. If we feel while we're at an event that we actually have to say, oh, everybody go selfies, let's do this. You're not in the moment fully, like really fully. We've learned so much to do these posturings, do these habitual actions and behaviors that are about business. We so rarely take that time to slow or even to sit. It's scary for people.
It's living it, isn't it? It's living it, not just knowing about it intellectually. It's the hardest bit. When I worked out my social media usage, I mean, it was so horrific. I was so ashamed, but I literally saved 24 hours a week. I mean, how appalling is that? So really, the first part is really observing where you say, oh, I've got no time, I've got no time. Actually observe when your time goes, because, oh my goodness, you might find that you are just this time is the thing that we can't get back. And for me, I found I was literally throwing it away, like it matters. And then as soon as you start thinking, okay, and God, I'm writing a magazine or building a magazine or creating a magazine, this is all about this. I know it. It's not like I don't know it.
Living it.
And then when you start living it, really, there's certain things I do live, and I do live my values in lots of areas, but this speedy thing, I wasn't living it. And then when you slow down, it just shows up, all your stuff. And you go, oh no, really? I thought I looked at all that. I thought I was on the right path now. But it's life has a sense of humor, and it was like, okay, let's just do it one more time, Suzy. And so I think in all of our self-development journeys, be it sort of discovering your own value, or whether it's, learning how to really slow down so you can hear the kind of longings of your heart, then it is a gentle process. It's a gentle unraveling.
I have a really favorite quote that when I was living on the Whitstable beach in my little cottage, I used to steady myself and just remind myself why I was doing what I was doing. And it's by Franz Kafka, actually. And here's what it says. You do not need to leave your room. Remain sitting at your table and listen. Do not even listen. Simply wait. Do not even wait. Be quite still and solitary. The world will freely offer itself to you to be unmasked. It has no choice. It will roll in ecstasy at your feet. That's it. The beauty of this world will literally roll in ecstasy at our feet if we will only just be there for it. I'm so delighted that you came on the School for Mothers podcast. Thank you so much, Suzy. This has been beautiful.
Thank you so much for having me.
Stillness doesn't mean doing nothing. It means coming home to yourself. If this conversation stirred something in you, let it. Let it remind you that rest isn't a retreat. It's a reckoning. And sometimes the most profound discoveries come not from pushing forward, but from daring to stop. Until next time, stay curious, stay awake, and keep thinking.